Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, ceasefire talks are underway to end the war in Gaza, but Hamas is still objecting to some of the conditions, even as President Donald Trump warns the terror group it faces, quote, complete obliteration if it holds on to power. We're going to bring you the story from Jerusalem. Here at home, an important new political trend, pastors being urged to run for office. We'll hear how some hope to turn America back to righteousness. And evangelistic outreach this summer at the European Nightlife Zone on the island of Majorca, Spain. We're going to hear how people there are reacting to the gospel. And a special treat for you, we're going to take you to the Museum of Christian and Gospel Music, which opened this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. All those stories and more right now on CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
It is Monday, the 6th of October. We're going to begin this half hour in the Middle East, where negotiators from Israel and Hamas are working in Cairo on President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza and free the hostages. The president is urging them to move fast, posting time is of the essence to avoid more bloodshed. But while Hamas has said it is prepared to release all of the hostages, some major obstacles still remain. CBN's Chris Mitchell reports now from Jerusalem.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio told Fox News Sunday he's hopeful the hostages may be coming home.
I think that we are the closest we have been in a very long time to having no hostages held by Hamas, either living or deceased. The second part of this, and it's going to be a much tougher part of it, is what happens after that? Who's going to run Gaza moving forward? It can't be Hamas. It can't be a terrorist organization.
President Trump sounded positive on Truth Social and impatient. He wrote, I am told that the first phase should be completed this week, and I am asking everyone to move fast. I will continue to monitor the centuries-old conflict. Time is of the essence, or massive bloodshed will follow, something that nobody wants to see. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it's now up to Hamas.
Well, we accepted the deal, as did all the world. It was President Trump's plan. Hamas says that it accepted the deal. Now the onus is on Hamas. This plan consists of two parts. The first part is releasing all the hostages. Israel makes a tactical withdrawal, stays in Gaza. And then the second part is meant to demilitarize Gaza and disarm Hamas. That will be negotiated.
Hamas says it may need time to collect the 48 hostages, only 20 of whom are still believed to be alive. Other hurdles include Hamas reportedly demanding Israel release prisoners they refused in the past, including Marwan Barghouti, convicted of multiple murders during the Second Intifada. The terror group also wants a role for the Palestinian Authority in ruling Gaza, another condition Israel has rejected. President Trump told CNN that if Hamas tries to cling to power, it faces complete obliteration. Retired IDF General Amir Avivi tells CBN News he believes the tables turned against Hamas during the last meeting at the White House.
This is exactly what happened in Washington, a realization globally that it's game over, Hamas lost. Even if we don't see yet Hamas laying down the weapons, already lost. The IDF is controlling 80% of Gaza completely. 900,000 people left the city and the city is surrounded. Hamas is done.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more. So, Chris, that retired IDF general says Hamas is done. Is that the general belief of the Israeli government?
Well, Ephraim, I would say not completely. I would say the government would be saying that degraded, yes, defeated and done, not yet. But he does reflect a good understanding of the situation on the ground. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said recently that Gaza City is surrounded. And as he said, the IDF controls 80% of the Gaza Strip right now. And what Hamas controls right now, they're actually fighting within those areas other armed militias that are actually allied with the IDF. But there's still work to be done militarily, or if Hamas will disarm willingly.
What's the thinking there about how Hamas will respond to President Donald Trump's plan in the days ahead?
Well, I think the thinking here, Ephraim, is that they were going to do what they can to survive. They're going to do what they can to delay, to draw out the negotiations. One thing they're trying to do, and we mentioned in that report, trying to get as many high-profile terrorists like Marwan Barghouti and up to 2,000 terrorists. Could these help rebuild their army? One question how will Qatar and Turkey try to make concessions to please Trump, but also help Hamas, quote, be in the picture? These are all nations, Turkey and Qatar, as well as Hamas, part of the Muslim Brotherhood. They would like to clear Israeli withdrawal benchmarks, not just a temporary yellow line. And also they would like to have a veto over who governs Gaza and they resist any formula that formally excludes it. So they're going to stall. They're going to try to stall the clock, and we'll see what happens and how much patience President Trump will have over perhaps these delaying tactics.
So we know they are talking. What are the big sticking points in these talks?
Well, I think one of those is going to be resisting disarming. Will they do it? And also trying to be part of a post-war Gaza. Somebody called it the Hezbollah model. Now, what is that? In Lebanon, Hezbollah was not officially in quite control of the country, but they remained the true power behind the scenes. So some people are warning that they're going to try to, use the same tactic as Hezbollah. May not be officially in power, but behind the scenes ruling what's going on. Also, the prisoner list is going to be very important. The length of the ceasefire and any idea of pullback, and actually who governs Gaza. They are asking, apparently, for the Palestinian Authority to be part of a post-war Gaza. And also questions are, how is disarmament and aid being verified? And all this supposedly under a tight 72-hour clock. I think a big question, Ephraim, is who's going to be disarming Hamas? Is that going to be the IDF? Is that going to be another Sunni Arab power like the UAE or Saudi Arabia? I'm not sure they're going to want to send their soldiers in to go ahead and disarm Hezbollah on their own. That's going to be potentially a very messy scene.
President Trump says if Hamas turns down the plan, it faces complete obliteration. What would Israel do?
Well, they would certainly try to finish the military campaign, especially in Gaza City. Not sure about complete obliteration, quote unquote. I think they're going to continue the way they have in their operations, try to have surgical strikes, knowing that many of the hostages could be inside Gaza City. Most of the people in Gaza City have left, and the remaining ones will likely be considered combatants. There's about 900,000 Gazans that have already left the city. Also, they would likely resume large-scale strikes and ground pushes and try to dismantle all those strongholds and those tunnels under Gaza City, and also try to hit many of the senior commanders that are still left. And those would be some of the tactics they'll be using if they have to go in and finish the job, or perhaps not quite the complete obliteration as President Trump, but try to finish the job of defeating Hamas militarily on the ground.
So if Hamas rejects this deal, would Israel end up in control of Gaza?
Well, I think there's some sort of, and Prime Minister Netanyahu alluded to it, some sort of sense that they have security control over part of Gaza. Long term, I don't believe Israel wants to control Gaza or up to 2 million Gazans. The idea, many people believe, perhaps the UAE and Saudi Arabia will send troops in there. Part of this ISF, the International Stabilization Force, going into Gaza. And one other question, we've talked about this before, Ephraim, will Jews be allowed to go back into Gaza? They were there up to 2005. 9,000 were evicted out of there. Will they be allowed to go back? That's an open question going forward.
All right, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you as always for your insight. Looking forward to hearing more from you in the days ahead this week. Here at home, an important new trend in politics, pastors being encouraged to run for political office. We're going to hear why one leader calls this effort a lifetime mission, and it's on a mission to turn America around. We're going to hear that story for you when we come back. The 2026 midterm elections are more than a year away, but the political maneuvering is already well underway. In evangelical circles, there's a push for more pastors to run for office. CBN's chief political analyst, David Brody, has this story.
When President Trump returned to the White House, his message resonated with many Americans.
We will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense.
Now, some conservatives want another revolution, a movement of pastors and parishioners running for political office.
What we're doing is spiritual. The byproduct is political.
David Lane heads up the American Renewal Project. His group is focused on the swing state of North Carolina with the goal of convincing 500 North Carolina pastors, spiritual leaders, or churchgoers to run for various positions, from school board to city council to even Congress.
Hello to everyone at the North Carolina Nehemiah Pastor Summit.
At a recent event in Raleigh, the president sought to mobilize the congregation.
Across the state, you have inspired dozens of faith leaders to run for office and to win elections, and they've been winning them in droves. I will be cheering you on as you recruit 500 church members to run for office in 2026 and 2028.
4 years ago, the American Renewal Project successfully recruited 50 pastors and spiritual leaders for statewide offices. 25 won their primaries, and 10 won the general election.
If we stay home, the other side's put their candidates in, who then draft and pass legislation and codify into law their values. We're asking the living God to move into the public square of America.
Overall, the 26 midterms are already looking to be a dogfight, as a handful of states across the country are changing their redistricting rules. Missouri's Republican governor signed into law a new map that could net the GOP an additional congressional seat. Texas drew first with a map to benefit the GOP in the midterms. Red states like Indiana and Florida are also planning to do the same. Meanwhile, Democrats are trying to redistrict in the blue states of California, Maryland, and New York. As these political maneuvers play out, North Carolina Congressman Pat Harrigan says the battle ahead is focused on something much bigger.
I've always spoken the truth, and I will always continue to speak the truth. We are not winning. We are making progress, but we are not winning. There is still a mountain of work to do, and it will take all of our lifetimes to undo what has been done in this country to sow sin instead of righteousness.
While it might take a lifetime, members of this movement believe the result will be worth the work, and that now is the time to start. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, a gospel outreach this summer to a European nightlife area, the island of Majorca, Spain. We're going to show you how young people brought the message of the gospel and how it was received right after this. Majorca, Spain is an international vacation spot, and for 2 weeks this summer, people there felt the love of Jesus through boardwalk prayers, beach services, and ocean baptisms. CBN's Wendy Griffith brings us the story.
These young people, mainly from Germany, Switzerland, and Spain, worked with local churches to share the gospel in Majorca's nightlife zones. Gernot Elsner of Gospel Tribe says the island is one of the most fruitful places for evangelism, despite its reputation.
Well, you got to imagine the party zone, and there's a little boardwalk just in front of the discotheques. And people, they step outside just to take a break from drinking, and partying. And we're there right in the sand with a little stage. And first, when they see us, they're kind of perplexed because it's the last thing they imagine to have somebody talk about Jesus right there. They come back every night. They listen to the messages, to the testimonies. Some give their lives to Jesus, and others are even baptized in the ocean.
Tell us about the party boat and the nightly baptisms that take place.
Usually these boats are used for party tourism. People would get drunk on the boat, they would listen to music and all that. We filled it half with Christians and half with non-Christians. And then the concept was that we wouldn't preach at them, but that we only share a small input about the gospel. And those people on the boat that are Christians, they knew what their job was. every night when we do the beach services, there are people stepping into the sand, they're coming to the cross, they're sharing their life stories, they're really repenting at the cross, many of them. If we feel that people are ready, and particularly that they haven't drunk alcohol, we offer them to baptize them. And I'm just thinking of one person that we baptized this year. His name is Jose. He's from Switzerland. He lives on the island, and he went through a lot of bad stuff. And he was approaching us because he heard the gospel, at the beach services, and said, I want to be baptized. And from that evening, every night he came back, he brought his friends, he shared with them, you need Jesus too.
I love it. And how would you describe the reception to the gospel?
Well, I think there are always three reactions. There are people who just find it curious what we're doing, and they ask, do you know where you are? Why are you doing this in the party zone? They have nothing against it, but they're just curious. Then there are those who say, hey, please leave me alone. I don't want to hear anything about God. But then there are literally every night, twice, many hundreds of people, and they stand there for an hour, for 2 hours. They listen, they share their most intimate secrets. They come into the sand to the cross to receive Jesus. As I just shared, some of them are being baptized. And we really cannot explain why there is such a grace on this outreach and why there is such a tangible presence of God.
Elsner says often there are prodigals in the crowds who make the decision to return to Christ.
And many times among the party tourists, there are also people who used to be Christians and they know they don't belong there. And, when they're being confronted with the gospel, they become aware and there are actually people, turning back to Jesus right there on the spot.
Amen.
I think the one thing that I really want to bring across is if it's possible to reach young people in the party zone where they go for partying, for sex, for alcohol, I really think it's possible anywhere.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Going to take you to Nashville, Tennessee for a special event, the opening this weekend of the Museum of Christian and Gospel Music. We're going to go inside and hear why it's being called the most comprehensive museum of all types of Christian and gospel music people will see anywhere when we come back. Christian music has a long and rich history, and that history now has a home where you can see musical memories up close and personal. The Museum of Christian and Gospel Music opened its doors this weekend. I traveled to Nashville to bring you this look at opening day.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Nashville, Tennessee is Music City, home to the famed Ryman Auditorium, the Grand Ole Opry, Country Music Hall of Fame, and now
1, 2, 3.
the very first museum of Christian and gospel music, where every wall and case are rich with music stories, like the story of Grammy Award-winning singer Dr. Bobby Jones, who hosted one of the longest-running original series in cable television history, showcasing gospel music.
As we walk this museum, we will see your imprint and your face even on the walls. How does it feel to see this museum?
Unbelievable. It's just such a blessing to see God work in the way He has and support my thoughts and my energy and what I had tried to do for Him, for the kingdom. And then to see it actually is really amazing for me. And I love every minute of it.
We decided to start with Fisk Jubilee Singers.
Steve Gilreath is the museum's executive director.
I think we have the most comprehensive museum for all genres of Christian and gospel music that people will see anywhere new. So we try to keep it interesting and just mainly try to tell great stories.
If we painted this museum's picture-perfect story by number, we're looking at many people coming together to raise nearly $15 million to build out some 11,000 square feet of exhibit space over the course of 17 months, showcasing hundreds of artists. And this is the Gospel Music Association's fourth attempt to build a museum.
It's hard to build a museum. I've been to 30 museums getting ready to run this one and create it. I've been all over the country. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame spent a day up there with their CEO and others, and I've heard so many stories of how difficult it is, even for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame. So it's it's not unusual that we've had false starts here. The amazing part is that we got it done. We're open. Thank you, Jesus.
If you had a prayer for this going forward, what is it?
It's a prayer for connection, taking people back to the moment they met our Savior. And many, many times that happened in conjunction with music.
Oh, happy day. Let's keep saying it. Oh, happy day.
Memorable music, now with a museum to remember and keep its stories alive. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Nashville, Tennessee.
And time now for your Monday Motivation. Today I want to leave you with this thought as we begin another week together. People of God, listen up. We are too often quick to judge and condemn, and we are too slow to reconcile, rebuild, and restore. God's grace is real. It's a gift He extends freely. Follow His lead and extend it to your brothers and sisters. It will go a long way in restoring them to their rightful place in God. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel. You can find them there at any time as well as online. That address is cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Make it a marvelous Monday and come back and join us right here again tomorrow. We'll see you then.